live. What's going on, everyone? Thank you all so much for tuning in at this time. Everybody that's here, greatly appreciate it. Anybody watching this on the replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, quite a bit unfolding right now, right? Got start off with the two hirings of coaches. Got Nate McMillan and you got Scott Brooks. Personally, I really do enjoy those hirings. I think that those are two great hirings. I know the Nate McMillan one is the one that people are really excited for, but I think Scott Brooks gives you another guy, another kind of perspective, another kind of like one of the things that I've talked about heavily when it comes to like the coaching, right? And what I want to see on the bench for the Lakers is, kind of creating this brain trust, creating this army of just the minds, the meeting of the minds from a coaching staff. And I've talked about, the 2020 roster. And yes, that roster was incredible. And, we were the best team in the league all season, but we also had an incredible coaching staff that was arguably as good as, the players on the court. And then you even had like extensions. You even had like, Jared Dudley, and you had Rajon Rondo. And, so I really think that adding Scott Brooks and Nate McMillan give you two experienced head coaches that have two very different philosophies, two very different perspectives, two very different just thought processes when it comes to just the game of basketball on the offense side, defense side, this, that, and the other. I think you kind of create this collective and can really kind of shape and mold this roster or this coaching staff in a way that could be impactful going forward. Obviously we still got to get a couple more coaches. I'd love to see like Rajon Rondo get added to this. Maybe get another development coach, right? They want to hire a director of development. So that's the case, then cool. Like do something like that too. But I think that is definitely some good news in the Lakers space. But let's talk about the LeBron side of things, right? So LeBron James, for those that don't know, hasn't signed. He's expected to sign a 2-year, $104 million contract. I see a lot of people throwing out that he has signed. He has not signed it yet. And the reason that I think that is important is because the Lakers still have time to make a move. They still have time to kind of maybe entice, like if something's there, entice LeBron to take that discount. Even Woj talked about how, he might still take a little less just to keep them under the second apron. So that way they can aggregate salaries and make trades and all that stuff. So that $104 million is probably not going to be $104 million, even if like the Lakers don't do anything or find anything. I think it'll probably be like $100 million or whatever, just so whatever it is to be just enough to keep them under that second apron is very likely what it'll be, because then basically the Lakers are running it back. And Woj even said that he's he's on the phone with Rich Paul trying to navigate that. Now, again, I think that this is very odd as far as the timing goes on this whole signing. He can't sign that extension or that new contract until Saturday, the 6th. So he can't sign it till the 6th. Why release this news now? Right? Last we heard, late last night was that he was going to give him a week to figure this out, and then he was going to sign it. Right? So to me, it's like, it's just odd that this is the time, unless you're using this to put pressure on guys like DeMar DeRozan, who, based on reports, he doesn't really have a market. And people don't want to sign him because if you do a sign and trade, you have to sign him for 3 years. And people are reluctant to do that. Even Miami doesn't really want to sign him for 3 years. And so that's why there's a lot of talks of him wanting to go and get a 1-year contract, get a 1-year deal, and then boom, there you go. Right. And then he can opt out, go sign a better contract elsewhere if he still can maintain that level. I just think the timing is odd. Again, I don't know for certain if this is a leverage play or not, but it's just why at 5 a.m. on, day 4 of free agency, and he can't sign it for another 3 days. To me, it kind of feels like this is you're on the clock. Like everyone's on the clock, and have a level of urgency, right? You hear reports DeMar DeRozan's kind of trying to take his time. He wants to evaluate, and he's not in a rush. Well, if you want to be a Laker, you better get on it. Now it's a rush. So again, I don't know how this is going to unfold. Lakers got to do something, right? I mean, they're not going to run it back to Tyler, and they want to like bring back Taurean Prince and Spencer Dinwiddie. So if they want to do that, you have to unload guys anyway. So something is going to happen. It's just, what is that move? Is it Jeremy Grant? I want to do a video kind of going more in depth. I just am always hesitant at this time to like make videos. It's happened to me like 3 times already where like I'll make a video and then like 30 minutes later we'll get news, and then videos like, man, like half the stuff is in that video is like, so it's always like, so I'm trying to wait and see like afternoon, right? Like usually stuff happens at noontime. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, something happens around noontime, and then boom, we're in business. But something's got to happen. Something's got to break. Something's got to move. What that is, I don't know. But Zach LaVine, I almost feel like if all else fails, just go get Zach LaVine. Like so you can, if the reports are true that the Chicago Bulls are willing to add a first, like why wouldn't you do that? Go get Zach LaVine. The upside is excellent. On top of the upside being excellent, then you also get another first that you can add to now go and take to go get other moves and make other moves. And if Zach LaVine can stay healthy, he's probably the best fit that's out there right now. So to me, it's like, I don't know. I kind of like the idea, but like I said, I'll go more in depth with that in its own individual video. I don't want to spend 20 minutes talking about it, but let's get into the chat and kind of go over stuff. Go for probably about an hour, and then and then hopefully we'll get some news today. Some moves. Give us something, like give us something fun to talk about and explore. But anyway, real quick, hit that like button. Let's get some more people in this live stream. The way you do that is hit that like button. We got 333 of you beautiful people. I appreciate you. And also hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. You guys are awesome. All right. Great hire. Yeah, let's talk about the head coaches earlier, Scott Brooks and Nate McMillan. I think that is huge. Now bring in Rondo and Gentry. Yep. LeBron sucks, can't attract anyone. I don't necessarily think it's that. Again, I mean, not everybody wants to play third fiddle. Not everybody wants to. And look, the Lakers, we're not like other players know we need more, right? Like if we were a DeMar DeRozan away or a Jeremy Grant away, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, go do that, make that happen. But we're not, right? We're more like a DeMar DeRozan, Jeremy Grant, and maybe somebody else away. So, who cares about coaches? Well, you need coaches to actually have success. For need to talk about how we didn't get JV. I know he ain't championship piece, but he could have helped even if it came back with an awful team. Constructed plus 30 million isn't a lot. Lakers sold for real. I mean, look, I really wanted Valanciunas as far as like the free agents that were available at the center position. I don't think it's something that's like this huge. I understand, like the Lakers are trying to get the bigger impact guy, right? One, that's what the Lakers have always done. Two, like you'd sign Valanciunas, and then what if Clay did want to come? Now you miss out on that. Or what if DeMar does take the mid-level exception? Now you missed out on that for a guy that doesn't help you as much as those two, and is more likely than not just going to be a backup, right? We need to upgrade the talent. So I don't hate it. And there's other options at the center position. So I don't would I have been happy? Sure. But I don't think that that's like this huge fumble. I just think the fact that they haven't done anything, period, is a huge fumble, right? Like anything. Like I just feel like that's what the fumble is. At least they got some competent coaches. Yeah, I am. I'm excited about that. So the Lakers completely out on DeMar since it would need to be a sign and trade. Unless LeBron doesn't sign that contract, right? I mean, look, right now, everything's still on the table. Everything. Because LeBron cannot sign that contract until the 6th. Now, does that mean that LeBron won't and just say, no, I gave you your chance, you took too long? I don't know, right? But what if DeMar is like, you know what? Hey, I will take the mid-level exception if you keep it. Right? So if that happens, then LeBron might take that discount in order to go get DeMar. Again, right now, everything is on the table. Until LeBron actually signs that deal on Saturday, everything is on the table, right? And so I made a video about this for those that watch it. Probably already know. I mentioned this briefly at the beginning of the stream, but like I wouldn't be shocked if this is a leverage play by LeBron. Everyone knows LeBron is staying, right? The Lakers just drafted his son. Usually that's his leverage point. Usually he uses that to his advantage. Can't use that, right? But I don't think it's so much for Rob Pelinka. I think it's a leverage play for the players, such as like DeMar DeRozan, right? DeMar, the reports say he wants to take his time. He's not in a rush. You know, teams aren't really like rushing to the door to go sign and trade for DeMar DeRozan. He may take a 1-year deal, like a little mid-level exception, because he can't take a 1-year deal on a sign and trade. You have to give 3 years minimum, right? So teams don't want to give him 3 years because they don't know what he's going to look like in 3 years. He'd be 38, right? Like, what does he look like in 3 years? So teams are reluctant. So there's talks about him maybe taking that taking that 1-year smaller deal, and then when more teams have cap space next year, maybe you can get a better deal elsewhere. So to me, this kind of feels like the timing for me signals that there's something more. Like everything LeBron does is purposeful, right? He doesn't do anything by happenstance, right? Everything LeBron does, he does very calculated, right? Like this feels like a calculated move, in my opinion. Like this feels like, because he can't sign until the 6th. Why is this coming out now when we got a bunch of reports that say he was going to give them a week? Why is this coming out at 5 a.m. on day 4 on a Wednesday? Like, it's very odd. Now, again, I don't know that for certain, but it's just the timing is very odd. But if you look at the previous reports we got yesterday, it does kind of line up with like, hey, DeMar, what are you going to do? Miami doesn't want to give you a 3-year deal. Lakers don't want to give you. No one seems to want to give you a 3-year deal, right? So do you want to? You stick with the Bulls, or what's going to happen? You're going to end up having to sign a vet minimum or something, right? And then your market's really in trouble, right? So I don't know. It's very strange, is my point. But let's see what else. What's going on, Brian? Appreciate you being here. At best, we will have 5.2 taxpayer mid-level exception. It's what it's looking like, unless, like I said, if LeBron doesn't sign it. If you can't get anybody, like, what's the point? Like, he's going to take a discount for what? You know, like, I take the match. Like, if you can't get anybody, like, LeBron's gave them an opportunity, right? And I mean, they still have the opportunity until he signs that deal. Opportunity still on the floor. To me, this just puts a running clock rather than, because, LeBron, I'm sure, wants to get his, like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the team? I don't know how, like, we're 4 days in and we haven't done anything and the well is drying up fast, right? Like, so, like, hey, let's get this ball rolling. You guys got 3 days, which puts you a week, give you a whole week to get this done. If you don't get it done, then I'm going to take the max. And I don't blame them. Take the max, right? Like, if the Lakers if Rob Pelinka can't get something done, why should LeBron take a discount? For what? So nothing happens? Like, no, he's just giving away free money. Get your bag. If they're not going to take it serious, get your bag. Let's see. Can we talk about the incompetence of Rob Pelinka? Again, I mean, look, nothing's happened yet, which is frustrating, but also nothing's happened yet. Right? Like right now, we're all like, Rob Pelinka, he's incompetent, he's trash. We all got our pitchforks, we all got our, our torches, and we're ready to march to the castle, right? But like, what happens if what happens if at noon today we get the Jeremy Grant trade, and then DeMar DeRozan comes and signs, and then you get the reports that LeBron's going to take the discount because they were able to get X, Y. Like my thing is like patience. I know it's frustrating. I know people don't want to hear that. I know I'm irritated too. We all are, but like it's say it all the time. It's not how you start, it's how you finish, right? What does today, tomorrow, whatever, what does that bring? Like right now it looks absolutely bleak, and it's like, man, Lakers are, they're screwed. Like, this is a nightmare. This is a disaster. This is worst case scenario. But something has to happen because they have 15 guys on the roster. The roster doesn't make sense. They have so many needs. They still want to bring back like Taurean Prince and Spencer Dinwiddie and all this stuff. Like, something is going to happen. It's just, what is that something? Is it going to be a big move or two? Right? Like, the only thing, and also another thing, the only thing that LeBron's like taking the max does is like, it doesn't give us as many options and doesn't give us as good of a, like, instead of us getting like potentially 3 or 4 guys, it's probably like 2 guys, maybe like one, like a Jeremy Grant and like 2 kind of mid guys, right? Like, no matter what, the Lakers were going to have to upgrade via trade, no matter what, right? Like, could we have gotten a guy on like the mid-level exception? Sure, that would have been great, right? Like, if Clay came on the mid-level exception, that would be great. But you still got to do other moves, and all those other moves are going to be predicated on trades. So, not like, it hasn't changed that much. Like, if anything was going to happen, it's going to happen via trade. Let's see. Lakers has a star on their team. No one knows about it yet. His name is Blake Hinson, 6'8", 43% from Pitt. Yeah, I did a whole video breaking down Blake Hinson. I like him a lot. I think he's a guy that could actually help now. I don't know about star, but I definitely think he's a guy that could help now. LeBron is signing a max because DeMar DeRozan trade fell apart behind the scenes. I mean, it would have had to be like, the problem, which I don't blame him. Like, if you do a sign and trade, it has to be a 3-year deal, right? Like, I like the idea of DeMar, but like, there is a question about his fit, and there is a question about his age. And you sign him a 3-year deal, and the fit and the age start kicking in, you're in trouble. So I get the reluctancy to want to do that, right? Darn it, I need more water. I'm, again, I would like the Lakers to do something, but no move is better than a bad move, right? Like, I'd rather them do nothing than end up doing something and you're like, great, like, I can't believe now we're screwed, right? Like, so it's frustrating, but we'll see. V coming out the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I believe in this team. We won the in-season tournament. At least we hung a banner last year. It's a good point. I stand with Rob. I think Connect 4 and Bronny put us over the top. Relax. I don't know if they put us over the top, but look, like I said, it's hard to be patient in a time where you don't, like, nothing's happening. You're seeing everybody else make all these moves. You're seeing all this stuff happen, and it's like, we need to get better, and we're doing nothing to get better. I get the frustrations, but again, like, a lot can happen. We're, as much as we're like, it's day 4 and nothing's happened, it's day 4, right? You still have another like 3 months before free agency's over, right? Or, I mean, free agents technically, yeah, but you get my point. Until like you start ramping up and getting into training camp, stuff like that. Like, so there's still a lot of time between now and then. A lot can develop between now and then. Again, I'm not saying something will. I don't know. But right now, we're all pitchforks and torches. Let's go. When, 2 hours from now, it's like, we just got DeMar and Grant. And, we just did. And boom. And all of a sudden, you just see the snowball. Right? Like, Rob Pelinka's doing something behind the scenes. I mean, he's actively trying to do something. It's just, what is that first domino? That's what I keep talking about. Like, what's that first domino that tips over, that knocks over all the other dominoes? Right? I don't know. We're going to see. And it is that domino now. I don't know. Is that domino at the trade deadline? I don't know. But I appreciate it. Thank you for super chat. Martin, how do we dump Reddish to open up a spot? I mean, chances are the Lakers are probably going to make a trade to unload several guys. Maybe a team like, I don't know, Detroit or something, take on some salaries for like second round pick, maybe unload like 2 or 3 of your, your vet minimum guys, maybe take like Reddish and Hayes or something like that and just ship them out there. And so probably that, more likely than not, like the Lakers are probably going to look to try to include some of these guys in a trade, whether it's like a Jeremy Grant or somebody else, whatever ends up happening. But outside of that, I mean, you essentially have to trade. Like if you just wanted to like unload Reddish to sign, I don't know, like Taurean Prince back, right? Then you'd have to trade Reddish, basically unload Reddish to another team that's willing to take on his contract. And with that, you probably got to give some return. Or I don't know, like a list of like non-guaranteed guys off the top of my head. But like if a team has a non-guaranteed guy, right? Like you could trade for that non-guaranteed guy and then waive him, free up a spot that way. That's really the only options in that regard. Just good news. Miami Heat. It says the Miami Heat are favorites to land DeMar. So Miami's probably going to get DeMar DeRozan, especially with the Lakers out. Let's see. But DeRozan can't even play defense, and all of his fans want him. He can play defense. He 4 out of the last 5 years, he's had a defensive rating of 115 or better. The league average is like 116. He's not like an elite defender, but he is a guy that is capable of playing serviceable defense. Let's see. They was in trouble when they hired JJ and didn't trade Austin Reeves for DeJounte. I was in the camp of you should trade DeJounte Murray or trade Reeves for DeJounte Murray. I like Reeves. I like Reeves a lot, but DeJounte Murray is the better player. And who wins the trades? The team that gets the better player. That's just how it works, right? And you would have already, like DeJounte Murray on this roster would have taken so much pressure off of just the situation at hand right now. Because it's like, okay, worst case scenario, you got DeJounte, LeBron, and Anthony Davis, right? Like you're in good shape. And now you got D'Lo that you can go trade and do whatever, right? And plus D'Lo and DeJounte make more sense than D'Lo and Reeves. So worst case scenario, if you had to run it back, like with adding DeJounte, the fit's just better. So I like that would have been nice. I liked the hiring of JJ Redick. I think JJ Redick's going to do a really good job personally, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Tyler, you think the Nets deal is done? I don't. I mean, it's possible. Could it be operating behind the scenes? The thing is that they want a first for Dorian Finney-Smith and they want a first for Cam Johnson. And neither of those guys are really worth the first. Like Cam Johnson, I like a lot, but he does have injury concerns, right? And he is younger. But all these things are a factor. But supposedly the Nets really want D'Angelo Russell, which if you can basically turn D'Lo and pick swap or something like that into Cam Johnson, like I don't hate that idea, and it would be cheaper than getting Jeremy Grant, and he's younger. I think I think Nets will probably be a third team, right? I think if a Nets trade goes down, it'll probably be in some combination with another trade, right? Because like the consensus is like Portland, and Chicago and so, all these teams that you're talking to, none of them really want D'Lo. Not because, they might not want to use D'Lo, because there are teams, again, the Nets want D'Lo, but they don't have a need for D'Lo, right? So it's like Portland, they have like 9 guards. It's like, we don't what do we want another guard for, right? Unless you give us an incentive. If you give us 2 first, hell, we'll take Gabe Vincent at that point, right? Because we're not winning anything. So obviously, it's either you have to sweeten it or you have to find a third deal. So I think any move with the Nets is probably a third deal where they're getting D'Lo. And then can you work out to where you get, a Dorian Finney-Smith? Can you get a Cam Johnson? And then you're getting like a Jeremy Grant or something. If you can pull something like that off, cool. Like if we ended up, if we go into the season with Jeremy Grant and Cam Johnson, I would be ecstatic. It gives you 2 guys that go get you 15 to 20 on any given night, legit 3-and-D guys. So we'll see. Let's see. DeMar's on some crazy stuff. Bro, you got a team that wants you and that you want why play games. Because he wants the bag. He wants the bag more than anything else. And, if we're being honest, he's probably looking at it as me by myself is probably not enough for us to win a championship. So the way he's looking at it is if I go to Lakers, we're probably not winning a championship, especially in the stacked West. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, I'm going to take a discount to do that. When he could look at it and go, okay, I think if the Lakers would have, let's say the Lakers traded for Jeremy Grant, I think DeMar might have taken the mid-level. And maybe that still happens, right? Maybe if the Lakers trade for Jeremy Grant or somebody, right? Some impact guy. And you see, maybe you'll see DeMar take that. Because maybe he'll look at it as okay, now we're a contender. Now we actually have a real chance. Now, you add me, we can win a championship. So it's worth me taking the discount. Where I think he's looking at it as I go to the Lakers just to live a fantasy that I've always had since I was a little kid. Yeah, that'd be great, but I could probably do that in a year or 2 anyway. If I can get the bag now, let me get a bag now, right? But yeah, Lakers are cooked, bro. The season is already over. Summer League is going to be more fun than the regular season. Rob needs to be fired. I never want to hear an excuse for Rob or anyone defending him. Like I said, look, I get the frustrations, but let's let cooler heads prevail and see. Again, if we get into the season and nothing's happened, then yes, let's grab our pitchforks, let's grab our torches, and let's, talk about it, right? But it's as much as we're it's day 4, why hasn't anything happened? It's day 4, right? You gotta really put things in perspective. I know, again, I understand it's frustrating. I'm frustrated. I want something done, but sometimes we gotta just take a breath and just wait and see. Because again, in an hour, all of a sudden, boom, 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 and we're all Rob's the greatest. Oh, he's the GOAT. Right? You know what I mean? Again, I don't know what's going to happen. So I like to personally, and I'm not saying you have to or anyone has to. I get it. It comes with fandom. But me personally, I am a patient guy, and I like to let cooler heads prevail because more times than not, you end up looking silly, right? You jump the gun, and then it's man, now I have egg on my face, right? To me, especially as somebody that, is making videos and talking and stuff, I like to tread on the side of hey, let's wait and see, right? Because I come on here and I say, Rob's this, Rob's that, blah, 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 blah. And then Rob does all this stuff. And now I got to come on here and be yeah, Rob's the best. And now I just look silly, right? Now I look oh, okay, where it's just, or I'm defending Rob and he does something foolish, right? Again, it's just, I believe in treading on, let's wait, see what the end result is, and then judge somebody by the result. You don't judge somebody pre-result. You judge somebody based on the result. And right now we're in the pre-result stage still. DeMar is not playing for cheap. He might not have a choice. If Miami doesn't, the Lakers are probably out on him now. And if Miami doesn't do a sign and trade, I don't what's DeMar's options here? What else can DeMar do? He might, if his last hope might end up being Miami. because Chicago doesn't want to re-sign him and doesn't want to give him a new deal. Would they maybe sign him to a 1-year deal? Maybe. Right? Maybe DeMar can convince them to do that. But more likely than not, if Miami bows out and Chicago really doesn't want to bring him back and the Lakers are out of the equation, where is he going? Who's giving him money? Like, what team is going to work out a sign and trade to sign him for 3 years? It's not like you can sign and trade him for a year. You have to sign and trade him for 3 years. And teams are already using up their cap space. Teams are already using up their That's why I really think, and again, I could be completely wrong. I really think that this LeBron news came out because of DeMar DeRozan. I think that this is a signal to DeMar of, hey, if you don't sign that mid-level exception, dude, you might be on the outside looking in. Then what? You're going to go take a vet minimum? Right? Because if you don't come, I'm just going to take the max. And then then you're not going to be able to be a Laker. To me, because again, LeBron can't sign that contract till the 6th. Why? LeBron never does anything on accident. Everything is calculated. Everything has purpose. Everything has a reason behind it. Why did LeBron allow this to leak and say he's doing the max? And then Woj also says, but the Lakers are still talking to Rich Paul because he might take a little discount to clear them under the cap, the second apron and blah, 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 blah. But he can't even sign it until Saturday, right? Like, why? Why release it now? And why release it at 5 a.m. in the morning? Because it gives DeMar 3 days to make his decision. It gives Miami opportunity to sign. And if Miami falls through, it's like, DeMar, what are you going to do? Tomorrow, I'm signing my contract. What are you doing? And it basically forces his hand. It forces not just DeMar, but like all these free agents that could potentially come at that price, right? Look, even a Miles Bridges or something like that. You're on the clock, guy. You're on the clock, right? Because look, if LeBron was willing to take the discount for somebody like a DeMar DeRozan or whatever, he's going to do it, right? Like, if DeMar says, okay, I'll come and sign, and LeBron goes, nah, sorry, I'm going to sign the max anyway, then he never really was, like, it all was just Fugazi, right? Like, no, or maybe it was just Klay Thompson. All the other names were redundant. But if the reports are true and LeBron will take a discount for DeMar DeRozan, well, then DeMar DeRozan may end up having no choice. Again, where else is he going to go? If Miami says, nah, we're not going to sign and trade for him, it's pointless. Where is he going to go? Right? If the Lakers are out. Like, what team is giving him a bag? What team is going to go give him he wants $25 million a year based on reports. What team is giving him $25 million a year? If it's not Miami via sign and trade, and it's not the Lakers via sign and trade. Like, I don't see it. DeMar is very clutch. Please, we're better off just running it back than Levine. He's trash. He's definitely not trash. The biggest concern is his knees, right? Like, and is injury prone. But even that gets overblown, right? Like, last year obviously was a problem with injuries. But beyond that, he played 77 games the year before. He played like 70 games the year before that. Like, the guy's basically been playing 70 games a season, which, as long as he's doing that, playing in that ballpark, you're fine. And the thing is, it's not so much just about Zach LaVine. It's also you getting another first, so you can make other moves. You can make other deals, right? Let's see. No matter what, Lakers for life. Facts. 100%. Always. Always, Chris. I'm right there with you. Yeah, no, but seriously, always. 100%. No matter what, you ride with your team. Let's see. Nobody in here would take less money to do their job. Exactly. Which is why I don't blame players for taking their money. Get your money. Just dropping in. Why are they in trouble? Because if LeBron signs that max, like, LeBron's got to take a discount on the Lakers are second apron team. If the Lakers are second apron team, they can't aggregate salaries. They can't do anything. Like, the Lakers are basically like, this is our team. And the Lakers have potential to be in big trouble. let's see. Uh, I would do a Zach LaVine trade and take the first from them and put a package together for Kessler from Utah. So I'm saying, like, you could do a lot. Like, you get another first in that deal. Now you got 3 firsts that you can play, plus I think 3 pick swaps and 2 or 5 seconds. Like, you could do some stuff with it. Um, let's see. Levine plus a first or Jeremy Grant and Robert Williams, which would do. I would take Jeremy Grant and Robert Williams. Like, because like Grant Williams fits perfectly too, so you don't have to worry about that. Robert Williams, I wouldn't mind taking at all. Obviously he has injury concerns too, but the idea would be he would be a backup, and then not only would he be the backup, but like if you can keep him to like 15 minutes a game, will that be enough to kind of allow him to stay healthy, or healthier? And you really just need him healthy in certain spots. But yeah, like don't get me wrong, I like the idea of Levine in a first, but Jeremy Grant, you give me a two-way guy that fits, and then you give me a backup center that, if he can stay healthy, would be tough. So to me, I think, yeah, you go with that. To me, that's a no-brainer. Um, uh, let's see. We don't need DeRozan to drop 3. We need his 23 plus a game he gives. Yeah. Well, and his ability to just get a bucket. Lakers don't really have anybody. They're not sure about their roles on a team. They do not want to end up coming off the bench for Austin. None of those guys would be coming off the bench for Austin. Like, if DeMar DeRozan comes to Lakers, he's not coming off the bench. Like, even for Austin, he's not coming off the bench. If the Bulls are giving up a first for Levine, Lakers might have to do that and reroute the first to the Jazz for Kessler, kill 2 birds in 1 stone, while keeping 2 firsts, much cleaner fit than DeMar. Yeah, I mean, he would definitely be the cleaner fit. Like, there's no questions about Levine's fit and just role. Like, he perfect, right? But it's just the injury history and just like there's definitely concerns. And if it doesn't work or he can't stay healthy or something, you're kind of stuck. But to me, it's like, what else are you doing? And his contract lines up with LeBron and everybody, so it's like what other options are there? To me, it's worth the risk personally. Again, I'm sure other people feel that different, but I do. Din, our fan base is the main reasons guys don't want to sign here. We don't support our players when they are down. We give them threats. Blaming LeBron is silly, and we couldn't get anyone before him. Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to remember the downtime pre-LeBron. I mean, look, all fan bases are like this. It's just we're Lakers, right? Like we're all on a Laker channel. But if you go to if you went to like a Clippers channel or Warriors channel or something, they're all doing the same thing, right? It comes with the territory. You have the people that overreact to everything. You have the people that, just troll. You have the people that just get caught up in the moment. You get the people that you get that array regardless. Like, I don't think it's just Laker fans. And like, I don't think players really care. I mean, especially with social media and stuff like that. I mean, all these guys are getting insane heat for every little thing. They're all getting an insane noise for every little thing. Like, it's constant, right? Like, it doesn't matter where you are. Like, it was easier back in the day where, you didn't have like the media and you didn't have, well, I mean, you always had the media, but you didn't have like the social media, stuff like that, right? Like, so it wasn't as highlighted. It wasn't as like, boom, here it is in your face out there, right? Like, I'm a small YouTuber that is not, like, I'm nobody, right? I'm just a guy, right? And I get insane hate and comments and like some of the stuff that I see on a regular basis is comical. Imagine being a professional athlete that people know. Imagine being somebody or a figure on a sports team, and that's just fandom, right? Like, fans are just like rabid, right? Like, so I don't I definitely think it's fans, period, right? I don't think it's just like a specific Lake, like it's just a Laker thing. Like, Man, if we were the Thunder, everyone would be coming. Like, no one goes to the Thunder, right? Like, it was historically, right? Like, you look at all these other teams, it's not just the Lakers. And look, guys have wanted to come. I mean, you got Anthony LeBron, you got Anthony Davis, right? I mean, you've had people want to come. DeMar wanted to come and thought he was going to come at one point, right? Paul George wanted to come, and then the Lakers didn't trade for him, and he got in his feelings. Like, there have been guys that wanted to come. It's just not everybody wants to play third fiddle, right? Because as long as LeBron and AD are on this team, you're third fiddle. Not everybody wants to deal with the tax of LA and, or deal with what comes with coming in LA. So I do think, to an extent, I do think you're right. I do think that there probably is a fair amount of players that are like, I just don't want to deal with the noise that comes with being a Laker, because there is a certain expectation. There is a specific thought in regards to like what is expected from players, coaches, so on and so forth, right? So I do think that they're, to an extent, but I again, it's not like a Laker exclusive thing. I mean, there's excuses for everybody, right? I just think it's, again, like, circumstances vary based on each person, right? Like, based on the reports, Clay didn't want to come to the Lakers because he felt like it'd be too close to being with the Warriors, and he wanted just like a clean, fresh break, not tied to anything, right? Like, kind of carving his own path here a little bit, right? Like, I think it depends on the situation. I don't think it's as like blanketed as that personally. But again, I appreciate you, Dan. Thank you so much for Super Chat. You're awesome. Let's see. Would you trade for Jeremy Grant and Robert Williams? In a heartbeat, like without a second. Couple things though, obviously, price. What is the cost for both of those guys? Secondly, will Jeremy Grant be committed? Right? Because that's the big question. Like, even if the Lakers, like, and I hope the Lakers have talked to him about it if they're looking to trade for him, right? Like, the Lakers tried to trade for him back when he was with Detroit, and he basically said he didn't want to be a third guy, right? And so Lakers stopped trading for him. And there's been questions about like his commitment to winning, and like even when you watch him play, at times he just looks so like he has better things to do almost, and you're just like what are we doing here, man? Like, so if he can come in, be locked in, be focused, and actually wants to be here, I'm all for it. Are we really in a bad situation if we keep the same team minus Taurean Prince, then re-sign Dinwiddie? Hopefully we have health and also better coaching. Yes, because like, look, will we be better this year? Like, let's say we run it back. Will we be better this year than we were last year? Yes. But even last year, we weren't, based on how things played out, we weren't this like bona fide contender, right? It was a consensus that like, hey, if the Lakers were in the Dallas side of the bracket, they probably were in the NBA Finals. But there was no guarantee. Like, it wasn't like, oh man, the Lakers steamroll Minnesota. They steamroll Dallas. No, it was like they have a very good chance of beating all those teams. Like, as long as the Lakers don't play Denver, they have a real chance of getting it to the finals, right? But they weren't looked at as like, man, they are a top 3 team or they're a top 5 team, right? So Lakers, do I think that they, like, you run it back, so you have another year of experience, chemistry, all that stuff, right? Hopefully more health, and you have a better coach with better schemes and understandings. You will naturally, yes, they will be better, right? I don't think the sky is falling. I don't think it's the end of the world if you do that. I just don't think that, based on what we saw last year from the players, the inconsistencies that were beyond the coach, the lack of defense, right? The lack of execution, like the lack of just focus at times. Like all of the problems that came, yes, a lot of them were Darvin Ham. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of it was also just the players underperforming. I mean, Austin Reeves was about as inconsistent as you could be last season. He was as bad of a defensive liability as you could be last season. Like, does that change? Does he get back to being more consistent? Does he get back to at least being serviceable defensively? I'm not saying he's going to be elite. I'm not saying he's going to be locked down, but at least serviceable. Can he at least be serviceable, right? Like, there's just so many questions with it. And so based on what we saw, right? Because last year when all the dominoes fell, it was like, oh man, Lakers are like they're deep, they're talented, right? And on paper, they looked like a real genuine team that was ready to compete. But then we saw what it looked like. And we saw the inconsistency. We saw that they'd only play for, a half, right? It was either the first half or the second half, right? Like, and all the same issues happened when we ran into Denver. It was like, man, if the game's ended at halftime, we would have swept them. Man, that was cake. And then in the second half, it was the same thing. The inconsistencies, guys not showing up consistently, not executing properly, only showing up one half, not the other, right? And it came and bit us, right? So, it's just like I have my like I don't look at based on what we had last year. I don't look at it and go, oh man, we're definitely a contender. Do we have a puncher's chance? Yes. But would we be a contender running it back? No. Right? Like, I mean, we could miss the play-in this time. Right? I mean, teams are getting better. Right? Like, yeah, the Clippers regressed a little bit, but they bounced back kind of nicely. I don't think that they're a contender, but I think that they're still good. Especially if Kawhi can stay healthy. And then, you look at Denver. Yes, they lost KCP, but they're still going to be good, right? And you have, Memphis picking it up. And the Warriors, if they get like Lauri Markkanen and do a couple things, they might be good. Like the Lakers could be on the outside looking in. So I do think it is a bit of a bad situation. Let's see what else. Tate coming out $2 super chat. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Suggs, and Wendell Carter, or Sexton and Kessler. I would do Suggs and Wendell Carter. Look, I like Sexton and Kessler, but Sexton is one of those guys where one game you watch him and you're like, this guy is the greatest player ever. No, that's why he's making $18 million. Oh my gosh, you got to go get him. You have to trade for him. And then the next game you watch and you're like, why is this guy even in the league? Like he is so he can just be so hot and cold at times. Right? To me, I look at Sexton more as like he'd be great as a backup. Right? You bring Sexton off the bench, just kind of let him be him, right? Go get a bucket, go do whatever, have fun, be free for whatever, 20 minutes a game, right? Like something like that. And then Kessler, I like Kessler. Kessler's upside and potential, again, he has moments where he looks like, oh man, he might be coming, right? I like that. But I just think Wendell Carter and Suggs are far more consistent. I think Suggs, what you're getting game in and game out from him. Defensively, there's no argument. It's not even close. Wendell Carter Jr. does basically everything too. Yeah, it'd be Suggs and Wendell Carter. I would do that. No questions asked. No question. Unless you could essentially get Sexton and Kessler for free or so. They're just like, hey, just take them off our hands. Then sure. But even if Suggs and Wendell Carter cost more, I would do it. Excuse me, in a heartbeat. But thank you for super chat. Excellent question. All right. Let's see. AD should demand a trade now. He's not going to demand a trade, not until LeBron leaves. Here's again, I don't think AD is going to demand a trade, but let's go down a little rabbit hole here for a moment. So LeBron signed a 1+1, or he hasn't signed, but he's expected to sign a 1+1, right? Whoops. And he's going to have a no trade clause in that deal. I think, given what that looks like, and assuming the Lakers don't make any significant upgrades, LeBron probably rides out the year, plays this year, right? Because he'll get to play with the son. So he'll ride out, the son aspect of it. Boom. And then I think after that, what will end up happening is he will either opt in and sign and trade, or opt in and trade, not sign and trade, but basically opt in and demand a trade where he wants to go because he has a no trade clause, so he can dictate it so the Lakers can't just ship him anywhere. And if that happens, then I think I could see Anthony Davis going, all right, get me out of here. I also wouldn't be shocked, like, if the Lakers were just like, hey, LeBron, we're working out a sign and trade for LeBron, or, an opt-in and trade for LeBron. We're probably going to trade you too. Where do you want to go? And just hit the reset button. So this might be the last year for the Lakers anyway. Like with this adaptation, just to keep that in mind. But Mike, Big Mike's coming in hot to $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate the super chat. Do you think it would have made a difference if we would have got a center who went to Washington on the mid-level exception? Oh, you're talking about Jonas Valanciunas. Look, I liked him a lot. I don't blame the Lakers for waiting for Clay or DeMar, right? If Valanciunas would have came, I would have been happy. I would have been stoked. But Valanciunas doesn't raise the ceiling enough to where it's like it's okay that we lost him, right? He was my preferred guy in free agency, like as far as free agents go, but like he wasn't a guy that I looked at and was like we had, like, if we don't get him, we're screwed. Like, no, he would have been nice, but he gets played off the court too easily, right? Has his elements on the defensive side, right? He's probably backing up Anthony Davis. He's not starting, right? Like, it's just, you go down the list, there's a lot of like things about Jonas Valanciunas that are like, you probably, it's not a big deal, right? Now, would he have helped? Of course, right? He's a great rebounder. He stretches the floor a little bit. Not great, but he doesn't take a lot of them, but he can. He has that capability of knocking down the occasional three. He's a willing passer out of the post, which I think is probably the most underrated aspect of his game, his ability to make plays. And more than anything, he's a big body that can play down low and be a bit of a bruiser. But he's not somebody that is just like, man, like the sky is falling because we didn't get him. Like, there's other options out there on the trade market. There's other options in free agency still. Now, Colin Castleton does a lot of the same things. We're going to find out in like the next week if he's ready to make that stride. Maybe he can kind of fill a void, fill a hole. So we'll see. But I don't think it would have made, like, would LeBron have not taken the max, which, I mean, again, he still hasn't taken the max, but would he may have not taken the max? Sure. It's always a possibility, but I don't think it's like the be all end all end of the world. Personally, I don't. But great question. And thank you again for super chat. I really do appreciate that. DeRozan's going to the Warriors. They're working out Buddy Hield right now. DeRozan is going to end up somewhere on a minimum contract if he keeps this up. Which is my point. Which is why I think, again, it's just my opinion. I don't know this, but why I really think that the news that came out today about LeBron, I really think was a leverage play. I really think it was a signal to DeMar DeRozan, right? Because, like, if Miami doesn't do the sign and trade and LeBron signs that full max, who's paying DeMar DeRozan? There hasn't been a market. Like, all the reports are like, hey, there's not a market for DeMar. That's one of the reasons why he even is considering the mid-level exception, blah, blah, blah. Right? Because anybody that works out a sign and trade has to take him on for 3 years. So you have to take him on for 3 years, and which you have to go trade for him. And most teams that are good are going to are not going to want to give up a bunch of assets and pay him $25 million and and have to be stuck with them for 3 years. And if it doesn't work, now you're stuck. Now what do you do? And all the bad teams aren't going to want to do it because all the bad teams are like, we're tanking. DeMar could probably win us a couple games. Like, who is giving him $25 million? Who is going to work out a sign and trade for him? Right? Like, and the well is drying up for these teams other than, like I said, the bottom feeding teams. And if you're going to go and sign a mid-level exception with Detroit when you could have done it with the Lakers, like, it's just, that's why I really think that this was LeBron, because LeBron cannot sign the contract until the 6th. Why is this coming out now? Why at 5 a.m. do we get news that LeBron James is expected to sign a 2-year max? Woj even says that, they're still going to work out, try to keep him on the second apron. Right? Like, so he is going to still take a discount, right? LeBron said he would take a discount if we could land somebody like a DeMar DeRozan. I don't see, like, if we go and get DeMar, I don't see him being like, nope, I gave you 3 days. No, that's it. Sorry, buddy. Like, no, I think he's looking at it and going, now you're on the clock. You got 3 days. You got 3 days to make up your mind. Because if Miami doesn't trade for you, then we're all that's left. And I'll go sign this contract, and then you can figure it out. Good luck. I think this is to put pressure on DeMar. Again, I could be wrong. Just my thoughts, just my opinion. But yeah. Let's see. Maybe sign Gary Trent. I've wanted Gary Trent for like years now. The Lakers almost traded for him, and then the Knicks messed it up. But yeah, if you can get Gary Trent for the taxpayer mid-level, then you do that immediately. I don't think Gary Trent is going to be in a rush to do that. And he is young enough and a legit two-way guy. Like, what was it? It was like 3 years ago, I think. I think it was 3 years ago now. I think it's 3 years ago now. He like led the league in like 30-point games. Like more than Kevin Durant, more than LeBron, more than Steph, more than like he like literally was like leading the league in 30-point games. I like Gary Trent a lot and would love to have him on the Lakers. He's gonna wait. Like if he signs the taxpayer mid-level, it's gonna be because there's nowhere else. Like he's not getting great offers elsewhere. And he's like, maybe I can raise my stock with the Lakers type thing. That's probably what, like, because I still, like, the Lakers have to pull off a trade. So something's going to happen. What is that something? I don't know. Is it Jeremy Grant? Is it DeMar? Is it both? Is it something else? I don't know. We're going to find out. But they're going to do something. And, you know, it's like, you gotta upgrade. Let's see. Sign back Malik Beasley. I would lose my mind at that. Look, I was so happy when we got Malik Beasley. I mean, he was like third in like 3-pointers made. Like the guy was like everything we needed at that time. And then he came to the Lakers, and I was like, I could outshoot him. Like he's shooting that bad. I could probably outshoot him. Right? It was just like, man, come on. Let's see. No Diddy. Like I said, maybe something's coming. We're gonna find out soon. Bring back Timothy Mozgov. I say Lakers offer 80. Look so many Thunder, so they can get a lot of picks and young players. Start a rebuild. Like I said, they won't do that this year. I could see that maybe happening next year. Who was it? I think it was it Colin Cowherd or somebody like that threw out the idea of like a Thunder trade. It was like Jalen Williams. What was it? It was like Williams. I know it was like centered around Williams, but it actually was a pretty solid trade. Like I was like, I wouldn't mind that. And then like a bunch of picks, like 5 or 6 picks. By when do we have to basically a 99% chance that we're running it back? I mean, like training camp, really. I mean, anything can happen between now and training camp. Like, it's possible that it's 99% now, right? Like, I mean, if you want to be honest, right? Like, there's no guarantee the Lakers do anything. I think that they'll do something. Like, you just kind of look at the roster and it's like, like they got to do something. But we also thought in what was it, 2022, like 2 years ago now, right? We like when they had Kendrick Nunn, Patrick, like they had like 5-6 foot guards, and it was like, oh man, a Lakers trade's coming. What's the trade going to be? And they didn't end up doing anything until the trade deadline. So as much as I like look at it and go, oh, something's got to happen, maybe it doesn't. And that's the frustrating part. That's the sad part. Shakur coming out $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Trade LeBron now and rebuild, best option. Well, you technically can't, because if he signs the new contract, then you can't trade him for a while. Which, look, LeBron having a no trade clause, he might, like, that could be, he could play with his son for half the season. If the Lakers are bad, go trade me. It's always a possibility. But yeah, like, you can't trade him now because he is a free agent. So you'd have to work out some sign and trade, which he's not going to do because he wants his son. He wants to play with his son. I don't see that being a realistic option at the moment. Could that develop later on? Like I said, around the trade deadline, very possible. Could that happen? You know, I think it's much more realistic next year if the Lakers don't make any big moves now. If the Lakers don't make any big moves now, then I think that, like, LeBron getting traded is a very real possibility at the trade deadline or next season in free agency. But Mike coming hot with another $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Would you trade Russell and Rui for DeRozan and Vucevic? And what about a trade for Kuzma to come back? So I actually made a video about DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic. My argument in that video was like, like, the Chicago Bulls want to get off of Vu? Do you take on Vu to incentivize Chicago to get the deal done with you? Right? Do you kind of like use Vucevic as your leverage to land DeMar and maybe even like work it out to where DeMar, instead of taking $25 million, maybe takes $20 million, and you basically get like DeMar and Vu back, because Vu still has 2 years on his deal. He's making what is it? Off the top of my head, I think he's making $20 million this year, $21 million next, something like that. I might be a little off on that, but essentially, the idea was like, hey, we need a center. He would fill that void. He could stretch the floor. He rebounds. People perceive him as a terrible defender, but like last year he had like a 107 defensive rating, which was like top 5 in the league or something like that. The guy was like spectacular for guys that played X amount of minutes or whatever. Like, he'd be great. Like, I would love to have Vu. Problem is, there's a lot of salary that you'd have to take back, because you're looking at like DeMar DeRozan, probably minimum is probably going to want $20 million. We're talking like $40 million in salary returning. But again, I don't hate it. I don't, if you work something out like that. And then as far as Kuzma goes, I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's going to want to come back, right? Like, I wouldn't hate Kuzma coming back, especially because his contract declines, right? So, like, he makes a lot of sense in that regard. However, like, he could have won another championship, but was like, I already did that with LeBron and AD, and decided not to go to the Mavs, to stay in Washington to, like, hang out with Jordan Poole and take baddies home after the game. Like, I don't think, like, I think he just looks at it as like, I already got my ring. I'm vibing. I'm making a bunch of money. You know, the girls that sit courtside are fine. Like, I'm good. Like, it's kind of how it seems like with him, right? Like, but again, appreciate you. Great question. Jason, coming out the $5 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to As It Stands Lakers channel, and click the bell icon to get new video updates. You will not regret it. Jason, first off, buddy, thank you so much for super chat. Appreciate you. I know you're very happy, and thank you for not rubbing it in, even though you're a Celtics fan, but appreciate the super chat. And yes, like Jason said, like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that subscribe button. I think I'm closing in on 22K. I'm 159 subscribers. There are 750 of you in this live stream. I know that there's 159 of you that aren't subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Can I hit 22,000 in the next like 10 minutes before I end this live stream? That would be lovely. I'd love it. I'd appreciate it. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, and yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you. And Jason, seriously, thank you, buddy. As much as it pains me, congrats on the Celtics. But don't worry, Lakers are coming back, baby. We coming. Running it back. We winning that chip. But I appreciate you, buddy. What is the proposed Grant trade? We don't know yet. We don't really know like the details. What we do know is that Portland wants 2 firsts. That's the only thing that like we know for sure. And supposedly they don't want D'Angelo Russell. They want D'Lo to go to a third team if they're going to work out D'Lo. So more likely what's going to have to happen, and this is why I made the video earlier today on Lakers, Nets, and Blazers, because there's talks that D'Lo may go to the Nets. They work something out to where, whatever compensation to the Blazers, but then Jeremy Grant becomes to the Lakers. So essentially it would be, and if you can send D'Lo elsewhere, then you could clear, maybe you only have to do like a first and a pick swap, something along those lines. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It's no excuse to not sign anyone waiting on Clay and DeMar yet. Yep. Totally signed Bismack Biyombo. Let's see. Bro, Lakers aren't going to do anything. It's very possible. I think that they do something. Again, I've been wrong before. It happens. But I think that they'll end up doing something. What is that something? I don't know. I'm definitely feeling Gaston. Get him yet. Get Pelinka. I think LeBron retires after the season. I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on how good he looks and feels. Right? He's playing this. I definitely think that this kind of feels like the farewell tour in a lot of ways, right? I do feel like this is kind of feels like the, like it's the beginning of the end type thing. But I think it'll boil down to like, what does he look like during the season? How does he feel at the end of the season? Let's see. Sorry, trying to find something to me real quick. A lot of like LeBron sucks comments, which I don't really get. Denver and the Kings still better than the Lakers at the end of the things. I mean, right now, yeah. I mean, those are the two teams that have really had the Lakers number the last few years. So you're not wrong. Can't believe we can't get any team to take an expiring contract. Robin Moran for giving scrub player options. I mean, yeah, but it's usually how you get the guys that we've gotten cheap. Look, no one was complaining about this last year. Everyone was super stoked and excited about it, and they underperformed, underachieved, right? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we could end up in a very bad position. At least need to make a small move for a center before going into the season and try to trade deadline. Worst case scenario. Yeah, like I said, I think something gets done. What is that something? I don't know. Is it the big trade? Is it the big move? Is it like, one of the sexy trades, or is it just kind of like a salary dump and then maybe you get a center or something like that? That's always a possibility. Let's see. Wendell Carter, I would love to get Wendell Carter. If the Lakers between that, do it. Just do it. And they have an abundance of centers, so. Is the Brooklyn trade still in the works? No, update since yesterday. So I don't know yet, but let's see. I hate how people say be patient, like every main dude we need is long gone and other teams strike better. It's really annoying. I'm not patient anymore. Just get LeBron. What moves have been done that are the every main dude? Paul George we were never getting, right? Like Clay was a guy that would have been nice, but like how much? Like Clay makes us better, but how much better? Like we don't add Clay and he makes a change. You're acting like we missed out on all these guys that like, oh man, boom, immediately make us a contender. Like no, And all the moves that we've been talking about for months are all still on the table. Trading for Jeremy Grant, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. Like nothing's changed. Like literally nothing's changed. And the only reason anyone even is like upset right now is because of the news that LeBron was willing to take the discount. Like going into this offseason, we didn't think that that was even a possibility, right? So again, like, yes, be patient because nothing's really changed yet, right? Like, who knows? I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, right? Like, and it's not about, like, I understand people's frustrations. Again, be frustrated. That's fine. But that's more times than not how you look silly in the end because everyone's like, grab their pitchforks. And then Rob does something and everyone's like, woo, Rob's the guy. Let's go, Rob. Goat Rob. Woo, everyone's popping champagne and smoking cigars because Rob just pulled off some crazy trade. And it's like, well, an hour ago, you were talking about how he's trash and, F him and blah, 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 blah. Again, I understand the frustrations. I understand not wanting to, and look, I don't expect everyone to do it, right? It's just how I am, right? Like more times than not, things play out, right? So like, let things play out. I don't know what's going to, like, my thing is like, you don't judge somebody. You don't hire a contractor and then start looking at the contractor, he's trash. Oh man, the house is going to be trash before it's even built, right? You let it get finished and then you make adjustments accordingly, or you judge on the work. You don't have somebody paint a picture and go, man, that's trash. And they haven't even started painting. They only painted one line. And you're like, you clearly don't know how to paint. Like, can I finish the portrait first? Right. And then judge me accordingly. That's my point. Like, again, maybe he does nothing. Maybe he is terrible. Maybe he doesn't do it. I don't know because we don't know what's going to happen. Like in 10 minutes, something could drop. And, at noon seems to usually be the time that something happens. We could get to noon and something happens. And now all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, here we are. Like, again, I don't know. People are so quick to jump the gun, right? People are so quick to, and then something happens and then it's like, I knew it all along. Like, can we just wait? But Richard, coming out of the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Dude, if JJ gets our 3-point percentage up by 5%, we on regardless. Keep the faith. I'm always going to keep the faith. I mean, I know you've been around for a while, but, for those that are new, I am definitely more on the optimistic side when it comes to things. That's for sure. But, yeah, I mean, look, I said it already, right? Even if we run it back, there is a good chance we'll be significantly better, right? Because one, you have another year of just chemistry and stuff. And like Reeves will probably be better. I mean, Reeves was about as inconsistent as it possibly gets last year, right? So Reeves will probably be better. Guys will probably be better, period. If you're healthy, right, then that's significant. And you'll have a better head coach. So Lakers will be better. It's just how much better. I don't think that they're going to be like, I don't look at this team based on what happened yesterday and go, or not yesterday, last season. Sorry. I don't look at what happened last season or the roster and what happened last season and go, man, like that team is a lock. Like they're a contender for sure. No, would the Lakers running it back have a puncher's chance? Absolutely. Right. Like the consensus was even this season was, man, as long as they don't play Denver, they have a chance. And I don't think that that's changed. I think as long as they don't play like Denver or Sacramento, the two teams that just have our number, I think we have a chance. But like, I want more than a chance, right? I want the roster and look at it and go, okay, we're here, right? But I do think like if worst case scenario, we run it back, I don't think it's the end of the world. Like, I don't think the sky is falling, but I definitely I don't think it's the best course of action. But yes, I'm always I'm a Laker fan. I'm going to ride with the team regardless, ride or die, right? Like, bad boys for life. But again, I appreciate you, Rich. Thank you, Richard. Garter, coming in hot, super chat. Thanks so much. Get Zach Vu and get Dinwiddie and Prince back. I'm all for that. Again, I don't like the trading for Zach and Vu would be tough just because I don't actually, can they even, No, they could get because that'd be what 20 million plus 42. So they, like, see, yeah, so they technically could get there, but the problem is you'd have to trade essentially everything. Um, like I really don't hate the idea of going and getting Zach LaVine, especially if you can get a first attached. Like if you can get a first attached to it, I think it's worth the risk, right? I mean, there's no question about the fit. Like the fit will be perfect. It's just like the health concerns, but even that I think is a bit overblown, right? Outside of last season, which he was supposed to be fine, and then the Detroit rumors started, and then all of a sudden he was like, I'm gonna get surgery. Like I just think he like Austin Reeves said, I ain't going to Detroit, right? I think that's what that was, right? So but like if you look at the previous years, he's played basically 70. He played like what 77 games, played 70 games the year before that. Like he's played around on average about like 65 to 70 games, which is basically standard, right? Like that's what pretty much everyone does. So I think the risk is worth the reward personally. And it's like, what else are you really going to do? So I don't hate the idea. I'm sure there's people that do, but I personally don't hate the idea. I think it's something that makes sense. But uh, Big Mike's coming out with the $5 super chat again. Thank you so much. Would you take a first and Levine for D'Lo, Gabe, and Rui? Do you also think with this one contract, Braun, where he would be willing to take a pay cut again? I mean, if he was willing to take a pay cut once, he'll definitely take it again, right? Like, no, he's not going to just take a pay cut just for the fun of it, right? Like, he's not going to just like, oh yeah, like I'm just going to do this because it sounds like a good idea. No, I think he'll like if let's say he does the 1+1, right? If there is a player on the table that makes sense, I think he'll do it again next year, right? I like wholeheartedly. I think that's one of the reasons why he's probably doing a 1+1. I think it's a combination of he doesn't know like what he'll feel like and where he'll be next year. I think another reason is like if the Lakers are terrible, this gives him an opportunity to get out. And I think another option is it gives him the flexibility. So if the Lakers do end up pulling something off, he can, work it out to where something like that can be done and have happened. So I definitely think it's an option, right? Like if he's willing to take the pay cut once, he's more than willing to do it again. And look, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if he still ends up doing it. Right? Like if DeMar ends up saying, okay, fine, I'll come to the Lakers, then I don't think he's going to be like, no, you know what? Like, too late. I already, the announcement already came out. Like, no, I think he'll do that. But, and then as far as like the first and Zach LaVine, yeah, I mean, I would D'Lo, Gabe, Rui, take him, right? Like if you can get Zach LaVine and a first, because at that point, like I said, you have Zach LaVine. So basically you'd have a starting five of like Reeves, LaVine, Vando, LeBron, and AD, right? Perfect. You have like nice balance of offense, defense, the works. Okay. And then you'd still have plenty of depth. You'd have space to sign other guys, right? And if LeBron takes a discount, you may even be able to still get the mid-level exception if you could, convince a Miles Bridges or somebody to come. Maybe you end up getting him instead of Jared Vanderbilt. But you'd also still have other tradable contracts. And you'd still have 3 firsts that now you can go and unload. And I think that is an excellent idea, personally. But yeah, great question. Again, thank you so much for Super Chat. All right, I'm going to do a handful of more questions. Obviously, Super Chats take priority, but outside of Super Chats, I'm just going to go down the list, do a handful more, and then skate on out of here. I need to eat, man. I hate the 5 a.m. like super early news. The problem with free agency is like people like myself, you don't get any sleep. So I'm like running on fumes the last few days. And I finally was like, I'm going to get a little bit of sleep today. I'll set my alarm for like 7 a.m. and boom, news dropped at 5. I didn't go to sleep till 4. Like I was like, but it's all right. I gotta go eat breakfast and do all that stuff. And then maybe something comes at noon. I'm putting it into existence. Maybe something comes at noon. But anyway, all right, here, let's dive into let's see. Let's see. Uh, Dallas, Dallas Cowboy fan. I see your comment, but I don't want to pull it up because you put a naughty word, and I don't want the video to get. So that's my question too. So basically, he asked, why are they making moves around the edges after getting after getting out in the first round? Like, I mean, it depends on what the moves around the edges are. It depends on what that is for the Lakers and what they perceive that to be, right? If it's something where it's like, we're like, what if Jeremy Grant is around the edges, right? Like, he's not a superstar, right? So, they might look at it as like, that's what that is, just a guy around the edges. I don't know. It just depends on what the around the edges is. 2 more years to taking. Let's go. If Lakers had competent ownership and GM after winning the title in 2020, they would be in a better position. Made the finals at least twice with 1 or 2 more titles. They probably would have if it wasn't for injuries. Like, I get like, what have you done for me lately? But like, people forget that Lakers won the championship in 2020. Rob immediately upgraded the roster, brought in 2 of the 6 men of the year, brought in Marc Gasol, like ended up getting Andre Drummond, like literally upgraded the roster. Like, people were like, oh my God, Lakers just won the championship. And like, people were praising Rob as he's like the greatest GM ever. Right? I mean, they were talking about him winning GM of the year, all that stuff. Right. And Lakers are up 3 games or dealt with injuries all season, right? LeBron was on one leg. He dealt with like the worst injury of his like career at the time, right? Dennis Schroeder ended up getting COVID. When he came back from COVID, he was never the same. And then Anthony Davis gets hurt. But before that, Lakers were up 2-1, looked like they were about to steamroll the Phoenix Suns, who were in the finals, get back to the finals. They matched up way better against the Bucks than they did. Lakers were once again the best team in the league and had the best point differential as far as, like, again, pre like the injuries and stuff like that. They looked like they were about to go back to back. And a lot of people, most people think that they would have if it wasn't for that. And then LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook started hanging out, right? Like, again, I think people either aren't aware of how that situation played out or they forget, right? The Lakers, Rob Pelinka and the Lakers had no intentions to go get Russell Westbrook. DeMar DeRozan himself said he thought the deal was done. I forget where he said he went, like Bali or something like that. I went on vacation because I thought I was going to be a Laker and I wanted to clear my head and enjoy some time before it was time to get to work. And then he said he got a call from, I think, Kyle Lowry or whatever that said that they just traded for Russell Westbrook. DeMar DeRozan thought he was going to Lakers. He thought the deal was done. Rob Pelinka had the deal lined up, ready to go. They were also getting Buddy Hield that year. Again, Rob Pelinka was going to upgrade the roster. But guess what? LeBron James and Anthony Davis went and recruited Russell Westbrook. They were hanging out at Summer League. All 3 of them went to Anthony Davis's house, hung out at AD's house, talked about how they would sacrifice and do whatever it took to make it work. And then they go tell Jeannie. Jeannie tells Rob, stop what you're doing. Go trade for Russell Westbrook. And Rob trades for Russell Westbrook. So, again, like that's how it unfolds. And then Rob still ended up pulling a rabbit out of his hat and ended up getting and building a roster that got us to the conference finals that, if we, guys showed up a little more, we probably would have won. Like, so for as much as like, and I'm not saying like Rob is like, I get it. I get the frustrations, but like people act like Rob has never done anything good. Right. And I get it. What have you done for me lately? I get that entirely. But like Rob has shown competence. Rob has shown to do a deal. Problem is like he likes to be patient. And we're a very impatient fan base, right? We're a very impatient. Like we want what to get done. Again, maybe he does nothing. And if he does nothing, we'll judge him accordingly. But my thing is like, what if he does something? Right? I just can't come up here and be like, Rob Pelinka's trash and blah, 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 blah. And then Rob Pelinka starts doing all these moves. And now I'm like, oh, he's the GOAT, man. Look at what he did. Jeremy Grant, DeMar DeRozan, we back, baby. Like, and now I look silly. Like, again, I'm not going to judge a painter before they've made the painting. I'm not going to judge, a contractor before they built the house. I'm not going to you have to wait and see, like, what is the result? What is the end result? How does this play out? Because what if Rob pulls a rabbit out of his hat? What if it works out and it's great? I don't know if it will be. I don't know how it's going to play out. Hi, baby. Let's see. Why is everyone tripping? We have a good squad. We could beat and win a 7-game series in the West. Denver was the only team to have our number, but they just got worse. Yeah. Look, like I said, I don't think it's worst case scenario if he works out, or if we run it back. But I'd like some upgrades around the edges, some way, somehow. Let's see. They just need to step up. Everyone has to average 20. If only that were the case. If only it worked like that. LeBron hasn't signed the max yet, has he? He hasn't. Hey, what are you doing? Hi. Okay. Hi. Well, she made a cameo. See, look, you guys made me bring her in last live stream, and now she thinks she's part of it. Now she thinks she can just pop in whenever. Hi, baby. Sorry. LeBron hasn't signed the max yet, has he? He has until the 6th to sign the max, and maybe Rob can stop sleeping and find it. Well, that's been my kind of argument and point. Getting me all dirty. It's been my argument and point. Basically, pretty much this whole stream. It's what I even made a video about. Is that, like, I just think that this is a way to put pressure on, like, guys like DeMar DeRozan and stuff to get a deal done. Oh, no, don't do that, baby. Hi, little puppy. Here. You're trying to sit in my lap. But hang on. I'm almost done. I'm going 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes and I'll give you loving. Let's see. Where were we? Are the Lakers in the second apron with the LeBron signing? Well, LeBron hasn't signed yet. He can't sign until the 6th. If he signs the contract that was reported, then yes, he'd be in the apron. But according to Woj, quit trying to rip my arm off. If according to Woj, the Lakers and Rich Paul are still trying to work out to, like, how much does he have to take to keep them under the second apron. So probably going to keep them under the second apron. We better make a trade this season. I think something gets done. Like I said, we needed James Harden. Personally, I'm good on James Harden. I wouldn't have hated having James Harden, but I'm good on James Harden. Have you seen the new top assistants, Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks? Yes, it was one of the first things I talked about. Made a video over on the Lakers Show channel about it, diving into it, only because, like, I had just uploaded a video when that news came out. So I was like, I don't want to, like, because when you stack videos, it, like, kind of ruins both, because YouTube's, like, trying to promote them both simultaneously. So I ended up posting it on the other Laker channel, the AIS, the Lakers Show. And I am actually very excited for both those guys. Got some experience. That was some really good news. Now go get Rajon Rondo, and we good. Why not go after Trey? I'm still in the camp of get Trey. It's just there's no inclination right now that Atlanta's willing to trade him. They traded DeJounte. The thought process was that, based on reports, that Trey doesn't want to go through a rebuild. That he doesn't want to rebuild. He wants to win now. That even though he's 25, like, he doesn't want to wait 3 years. Now he's 28 and he can't contend. So supposedly he didn't want to go through a rebuild and didn't want to have to deal with all the noise. So I know you don't understand that we're on the internet and there's a whole sea of people right here. But thank you. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought. But yeah, anyway, the thought process was that that basically Trey would request a trade and want out. But so far, nothing. Doesn't mean that it won't, right? Could it very well happen, but no word on that yet. Hey, here. Go over here. Give me 2 more minutes. I'm almost done. Here. Stay right here. Thank you. Careful. Right there. Lay right there. There you go. Give me 2 minutes, and then we'll play. I know. You probably need to go potty, too. It's probably why you're bugging me. All right. I know. I'll take you out. 1 minute. 1 minute. All right, here. I'm going to do 5 more questions and I'm going to get out of here. Because I think she might have to go potty. That or she wants attention. Let's see. Heat or favorite to land tomorrow? Yes. Yes. Hey, no. Stay there. DeJounte would have that's I was in the camp of trade Austin Reeves for DeJounte, but now it's too late. Let's see. Sorry, trying to find something to me that isn't some silliness. Why are people down on Gabe all of a sudden? He basically helped Miami Brett the Celtics last year. Yeah, or beat the Celtics last year. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't mind Gabe Vincent. It's just you're limited on the players that you can actually trade. And so my thing is, again, if you can get an upgrade, you get an upgrade. But like, I don't mind keeping Gabe Vincent. And it's very like if we end up trading D'Lo, you're gonna need a point guard. So like Gabe Vincent could be that point guard if need be. So I don't hate the idea. Let's see. Can you explain what you base JJ being a great coach off of? I don't know if he's going to be a great coach. I think he's going to be a great coach. And it's based off of the understanding of the game, the way he breaks down the game from a minute standpoint, his basic ability to simplify offenses and various schemes. He also doesn't have any biases. Like you see a lot of assistant coaches, right? Become head coaches. They have biases. They have preconceived notions on how their offense or how things, and you see they can't adjust. Like, right, Darvin Ham, for example, he only knew what he knew in his little box. As soon as he had to get out of his box, that was it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't figure it out. He didn't know how to last, right? Where JJ, he's a guy that he doesn't have any preconceived anything, right? He's coming in excited. So he's going to be open, like, hey, okay, let's do this. Oh, this isn't working. Let's go over here. Oh, that's not working. Let's go over here. Let's go back over here a little bit, right? Like, so that's like essentially in a nutshell, right? He's a guy that is no nonsense. He's going to be able to handle the media, as you've seen. He's going to be able to handle the pressure, as you've seen, right? Like, it's just, if you're, I'm not worried about the X's and O's. He's shown the ability to do the X's and O's and simplify it, which is the key. Because even LeBron has talked about how not all players understand, like, oh, I can draw up a play, but if I tell you to run it on the left side rather than the right, no one knows how to do it. JJ has shown the ability to simplify it to the average man, to the casual, right? Like, and that is important even with NBA players, because not all NBA players understand the ins and outs of intricate offenses and stuff, right? So the X's and O's, he has shown the ability. He knows how to execute. He knows how to draw that. Right? He's a guy that has shown that he demands respect and can get respect, right? Like he handles the media. His presence is there, right? So he checks off a lot of the boxes, right? And if you look at the top like 5 coaches in the league right now, like none of them had coaching. Like Eric Spoelstra was working in the film room. You know, Steve Kerr was a failed GM and a commentator, right? Like people just think, oh, JJ Redick was people. My favorite thing is people are always like, oh, JJ Redick was a podcaster. It's like, no, he was an NBA player and one of the smartest. like he's not just like a podcaster. He's not like, if I became the head coach, yeah, I'd understand people being like, why did they just hire Tyler as the head coach? Right? Like, I can draw up a play, I can do things, but I've never played in the league. I don't have understandings of certain elements of the game, right? Because I've never played to that level. I mean, I played, but not to the NBA level, right? So it's like, you know, but you're talking about a guy that, no, he's not a podcaster. He is a NBA player. He was an NBA player. So just something to keep in mind. But anyway, I'm going to end it there. Real quick, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Can I get 46 more subs? That would be nice. I know you want to play. I know she's like trying to rip my arm off right now. She's chewing, but anyway, yes, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Seriously. Hopefully we get some good news soon. Look out for all the videos and stuff. You guys are awesome. Again, like button, subscribe button. What are we at? 46. I need 46 more subs to get 21,900. I need 146 more subs to get to 22,000. So help me out. I appreciate you guys. I will see you soon. See you in the next one.